Before we get into this wild and chaotic story, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications so you never miss any breaking Dodgers updates the moment they drop. Because what's happening inside that clubhouse right now is unlike anything the organization has seen in years. What I'm about to tell you isn't rumor, isn't clickbait, and isn't some exaggerated off-season drama. This is coming straight from people inside the building who described the atmosphere as explosive, emotional, and way more serious than anyone expected. So here's what actually went down. It starts with what players and staff are calling a closed-door accountability meeting, something that normally stays quiet, controlled, and respectful. But this time it didn't. This time the tension that had been brewing for weeks finally snapped, and the locker room walls apparently shook from the yelling. Multiple Dodgers players have been frustrated with how the season has unfolded, especially with the constant pressure, the inconsistency in performances, and the growing divide between veterans and rising stars. Several players felt unheard, unsupported, or unfairly blamed, and when everyone was forced into a room to talk it out, all of that pent-up frustration exploded at once. The sources say the meeting began calmly enough, with the coaching staff trying to reset expectations and remind players of the standard they represent. But the moment one of the star players was directly called out, everything changed. Teammates jumped in, voices rose, accusations started flying about who was committed, who wasn't doing enough, who wasn't staying focused, and who was getting special treatment behind the scenes. What was supposed to be a professional conversation quickly turned into a heated confrontation with players shouting over each other, staff trying to de-escalate the situation, and teammates choosing sides in real time. One player reportedly slammed his locker door so hard that trainers rushed in thinking something broke. And then came the moment that shocked everyone. Right in the middle of the chaos, the star player who had been at the center of the criticism turned, grabbed his things, and walked straight out of the locker room without saying a word. He didn't wait for coaches, didn't listen to anyone asking him to stop, didn't respond to teammates calling after him. He just walked out, leaving the room dead silent for a moment before everyone realized what had just happened. Teammates described the atmosphere after he left as awkward, tense, and like the whole team just had the wind knocked out of them. Nobody expected him to react like that, and the coaching staff reportedly ended the meeting immediately because there was no recovering the energy after that walkout. The craziest part? This wasn't a player who's usually emotional or reactive. This is someone known for being steady, focused, and level-headed. The fact that he walked out like that shows just how deep the frustration has gotten. According to people close to the situation, he has been dealing with pressure from every direction, expectations from the front office, criticism from fans, personal struggles with performance consistency, and even some behind-the-scenes disagreements about how he's being used in the lineup or on the field. All of those tensions finally collided in that room, and when he felt attacked, he snapped in a way nobody saw coming. After he walked out, players were left arguing among themselves about whether the confrontation went too far. Some veteran players reportedly felt the younger guys were being too disrespectful. Some younger players felt the veterans were refusing to accept accountability. A few players tried to smooth things over, but by then emotions were too raw. One player even said, "This doesn't feel like a team right now," which hit the rest of the room hard. The coaching staff wasn't happy either. They called the behavior unacceptable and demanded private follow-up conversations with several players individually to figure out how to move forward. As for the star player who walked out, here's where things get even more intense. After leaving the locker room, he didn't go home, but he also didn't return to the meeting. He stayed away from the team for a few hours, cooling off, clearing his head, and reportedly talking to someone close to him about whether he'd even show up to team activities the next morning. People inside the clubhouse weren't sure if this was temporary frustration or something much bigger. Some teammates worried that if the situation didn't get resolved quickly, it might affect his long-term relationship with the team. Others weren't even sure he'd speak to certain players for days. By the next morning, he did show up, which is a good sign, but sources say he did so with his guard up, barely speaking to anyone except a couple of trusted teammates. Reporters noticed the tension immediately, players avoiding eye contact, conversations happening in whispers, and everyone pretending things were normal even though they clearly weren't. Several players insisted to media that everything was fine, but their body language told a different story. One player visibly stiffened when asked about the meeting, and another said, "We're keeping everything in-house," which usually means things are messy. The front office is now monitoring the situation closely. They know tension happens in competitive environments, but this wasn't normal tension. This was a genuine locker room fracture at a time when unity is more important than ever. Some members of the organization believe the team leaders will be able to pull everyone together and fix this. Others think cracks in the foundation have been showing for months, and this meeting just exposed what was already there. There's even quiet concern that if certain relationships aren't repaired fast enough, this could affect future roster decisions, contract talks, and even trade discussions involving players who were part of the confrontation. The craziest part is that fans still don't know the full details, and the organization is hoping to keep it that way. But people around the team are saying this moment could become a turning point, either the wake-up call the team needed or the beginning of deeper issues that won't go away easily. A lot now depends on how the star player reacts moving forward. Will he open up to teammates? Will he accept apologies? Will he meet privately with coaches to talk through what happened? Or will he stay distant, damaged by what was said behind those closed doors? Some insiders believe he will eventually reconnect with the team, but maybe not immediately. They think he needs time to cool off and reflect, especially because he's someone who takes pride in being a leader and feels pressure to perform at a superstar level. Others think this incident might change how he views certain teammates permanently. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild in any sport, but especially in baseball where chemistry and communication matter every single day. Right now, the clubhouse is walking on eggshells. Teammates are trying to avoid saying the wrong thing. Coaches are trying to calm everyone down. And the star player is keeping to himself, waiting for the right moment to talk. No one knows how long it will take for things to normalize, but what we do know is this: the Dodgers are facing an internal challenge that could impact their entire season if they don't address it properly. And this is why staying locked into updates is so important, because this story is developing fast and more details are going to come out in the coming days. If you want to stay ahead of the news before it hits mainstream outlets, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a single Dodgers update. This situation is far from over, and whatever happens next could change everything for this team.